Welcome back to SouFLoTV. If you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get right into the story. So, we recently did a story about Tory Lanez, the singer-rapper who was incarcerated for shooting fellow rapper Megan Thee Stallion. Tory was sentenced to a decade behind bars in California in a pretty rough prison. What we had next happen was Tory Lanez was stabbed 14 times. 2 collapsed lungs. It was serious. Tory was placed on a breathing machine. Tory has since been off the breathing machine and is coming around pretty well, according to the latest updates from trusted news media sources and also a press conference that his own father did. Now, in the wake of all that happening, Tory Lanez's attorney comes out and says that Tory Lanez needs to be released from prison because he's not the one that shot Megan Thee Stallion and that he has new information that somebody else did it. Lo and behold, the attorney said that Megan Thee Stallion's best friend's bodyguard, who went missing after he was subpoenaed to show up at the trial, finally broke his silence. And he said something along the lines of, it wasn't Tory that did it, and I hate to see a man do all that time in jail or prison for something he didn't do. So I gotta speak. I have to tell the truth. They asked him why it took so long and why didn't he show up at Tory's trial and say what he's saying now, and he said because that's not who hired him. Megan Thee Stallion's best friend, her husband hired him to be the bodyguard or protector of his wife. So he was loyal to Megan Thee Stallion's bestie, not loyal to Tory Lanez. But after having this sit on his conscience for some time, he can't do it anymore. So he got to come forward and say something. Well, Megan Thee Stallion's attorney, Alex Spiro, has replied to that claim from Tory Lanez's legal team regarding what they are claiming is new evidence in the 2020 shooting case that they say now proves Tory's innocence. You got to remember that Tory Lanez, along the whole time, kept saying he's not the one that did it, but he just don't want to be a snitch. Now, I'm saying, were you willing to throw away your life, your success, everything you had going for you, and go do a decade? Matter of fact, Tory was looking at about 40 years in prison. I wasn't going to risk 40 years in prison. My celebrity status, my millions of dollars I was making, I was not going to risk all that just to say I'm not a snitch. I am pointing straight at the person who I think did it. For the fact that Tory did not say who did it, he did not speak, he did not point to anybody else, and the person who got shot, which was Megan, pointed to Tory and said, Tory shot me. I'm riding with the Tory shot me part. Now, it is true that there was no forensic evidence linking Tory Lanez. There was no fingerprint from him to the gun. There was no ballistics, as in gunpowder residue on his hand after he had fired the gun. There was nothing linking him to the gun or anything, except for Megan saying Tory was the one that shot, and her best friend backing up that story as well, with the bodyguard saying, I didn't see nothing. Well, Megan Thee Stallion's attorney, Spiro, he released a statement after Tory's team went wild with this new piece of information, as they call it. He released a statement on Wednesday, May 14th, basically shutting down these new claims surrounding this case. He said, quote unquote, Tory Lanez was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and his case was properly adjudicated through the court system. This is what he said in a statement. This is not a political matter. This is a case of a violent assault that was resolved in the court of law. The statement came in response to Unite the People's lead consultant, Walter Roberts, who hosted a press conference on Wednesday regarding Tory Lanez, who is listed as the advisory member on the organization's website and the 2020 shooting case. Robert claimed that he acquired new evidence in the case providing Tory Lanez's innocence. He said that he was approached by Bradley James, who claimed to be Megan Thee Stallion's friend, Kelsey Harris's bodyguard, on the night of the July 2020 shooting. Roberts added that James allegedly overheard a conversation in which Harris admitted to having the gun during the shooting. And according to James, Tory Lanez did not shoot anyone at all. Well, quite a few media houses has reached out to Megan Thee Stallion reps and the other side trying to see what's going on and who has what to say. Tory Lanez was convicted on 3 felony counts of shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the feet following an argument outside a July 2020 party in Hollywood Hills. Matter of fact, they said when the fight started, it was, an exchange of words between people who the friendship was about to get sour. So I'm drunk, I'm high, you're drunk, you're high. I'm telling you, man, being drunk and high, that could lead to a whole lot of different things, a whole lot of miscommunication, a whole lot of misunderstanding, because you're not in your right mind, right? And according to reports, that's what happened with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. Megan said something about Tory can't rap and he can't sing. And then he went and said something to her about her not being a good rapper or singer either. And that's when they had a heated conversation that turned into an argument and name calling. And Megan decided to get out of the vehicle because she didn't want to stay in the vehicle with somebody who was arguing with her that much. So Megan got out of the car during the argument, and it is said that Tory Lanez then pulled out the gun and shouted, "Dance, bitch, dance," and fired shots at her feet. Now, I don't know if y'all heard the voice note when Tory called from jail the day after, and he was basically explaining like, yo, I was so fucked up. I mean, I was messed up, yo. I don't even know what happened. But whatever it is that happened, I'm apologizing. I apologize. Damn, I know I was out of pocket, XYZ. He kept saying he's sorry. He kept on saying how he was already drunk when he got to that party that they were at. And when they got there, he said, I think you had to take like 6 shots at the door or something just to get in. And he was already drunk. So taking them 6 shots and then whatever else he was doing, smoking, drinking, snorting, whatever they did, combining all that stuff, he was basically saying he was out his mind and he wasn't, So the question becomes, what was Tory Lanez apologizing for in that voice note from the jail, right? And then there was the voice note where he was talking to Megan Thee Stallion's bestie, and he was asking a bunch of questions, and she was explaining to him like, yo, you did all kinds of stuff, bro. And he was like, yeah, damn, man, as long as this don't get to the media, and get her name out there and my name out there and get us our reputations messed up. Basically he was just trying to like smooth things over, keep it away from the media, etc. Tory Lanez was ultimately sentenced to 10 years in prison, and Megan Thee Stallion was recently granted a restraining order against the Canadian singer in January of 2025. Earlier this week, Tory Lanez was attacked in prison, during which he was reportedly stabbed, like I said in the beginning of this video, 14 times, and he suffered 2 collapsed lungs, and was transported to the hospital near the California Correctional Institution where he was serving his sentence. You got to think now that his legal team and his dad are now like, hey, we got to do our best and do everything, pull a rabbit out the hat, try to get Tory up out of there. Obviously, prison ain't his cup of tea. Obviously, he is not faring well behind bars. He is behind bars with some serious people. As a matter of fact, the institution that Tory Lanez was put in is actually known for these types of violence right here. There's a stabbing, I think it says once a week. Once per week at that institution, somebody gets stabbed up, right? I don't know if they die all the time, but I know they get stabbed up. I know it gets pretty bloody over there. So for a R&B singer slash rapper who is not that big of a person, I think Tory Lanez is like 5 feet tall, flat. 5'1" at the tallest, at the highest, and he's light in weight. Also, he's a small-bodied person. He's not built for that, but that's prison, and that's prison life. You know what I mean? So he is in there. He ain't doing too well. It is also said that the Mexican mafia or something has claimed that they the ones that sent the hit out. I don't know if that is just people talking stupidness on social media or not, but that's the flying word. However, they did point out the individual who did that to Tory, and it turns out he has done that type of work on other inmates before inside the prison. Tory wasn't the first person he stabbed up many times and sent to the hospital clinging to life. He himself is in there serving life. So that's to give you an idea. And he is in there serving life for murder charge. I was told that his murder charge was he was seeing a underage girl, and the underage girl broke up with him, and he ended up killing her, and that's how he ended up in prison. So these people that Tory Lanez are amongst, this ain't the pretend like you're bad kind of people. This ain't like pretend like you gangster. This isn't like pretend on record or on a music video like you from the hood and you down with the shits. He's in the trenches right now. He's in real life hell with people who have killed before. And apparently, one of them at least we know is trying to kill him too. Now, of course, the question becomes, are they going to move Tory Lanez to a new institution or put him at a more heightened security level so that this doesn't happen to him again? We don't know. What I can bet, though, is that this new piece of information about the bodyguard saying he heard or overheard Megan Thee Stallion's bestie saying that she's the one that pulled the trigger and Tory didn't shoot anybody. Matter of fact, she said along the lines that she had the gun. Tory didn't have the gun. She pulled the trigger. She shot at Megan 3 times. And then Tory grabbed the gun from her, trying to get her not to shoot Megan. And when he grabbed the gun, she shot twice, 2 more times. So with details like this, I don't know if this is going to be enough to cause doubt to strike a retrial so they could take this to trial again on appeal sometime soon. Usually appeal takes a lot of time, but we'll see. Is this going to be enough for Tory Lanez to get let go? We'll have to see that also. Listen, I don't want to see that man die behind bars, man. You know, Tory is way too talented to waste away like that. He doesn't deserve to die. But at the same time, I always ask everybody else, if that was your sister and a dude shot her with a gun, shot her, how would you feel? And most people say, I would want him to die behind bars. F everything else. So, you know, the sentiments kind of like, you did the crime, do the time, shut up, stop the crying, and stop with the excuses. But what if it's actually true that he wasn't the one that did it? Now, the only way that could happen, if Tory Lanez wasn't actually the one that did it and didn't want to speak is if Tory was so messed up that night along with everybody else. Remember, they have a driver. The driver is sober. They have a bodyguard. The bodyguard is sober. You have Tory Lanez, you have Megan Thee Stallion and her best friend in the ride, right? There are about 2 sober people in here, and everybody else in here are drunk off their ass, high as hell, probably not really understanding 100% or not remembering every single detail the next day. Usually what happens in a situation like this is everybody is for themselves and everybody tries to cover for themselves, right? I don't remember. I didn't see nothing. I think he did it. I think she did it. But nobody is going to say, I was drunk, I was high, I messed up, and I did it. So that's where they're at with the Tory Lanez case. Let's continue to follow this case and see what comes up, right? If Tory gets out, that'll be good for him. If he doesn't, that's the way the pendulum swung. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on SouFLoTV. I'll catch you on the next video with the updates. I'm out. Peace.